Today I will show you a horror film from 2021, titled The Cursed. Spoilers ahead. It's late at night in the city when a drunk man returns to his apartment, discovering that the lights aren't working and the TV has no signal. He looks out the window with a golf club in hand, thinking it may be a thief, but the truth is creepier than that. A mysterious figure appears behind him and doesn't seem bothered when the man hits him with the club. As a weird tattoo appears on his wrist that makes his skin go black, the mysterious figure attacks the man, throwing him around and causing him to get infected by something weird on the spot where he touches him. Then he bites the man on the neck, infecting him further while his own body crumbles into ashes. Sometime later, the police are reviewing the case. The autopsy indicates the victim died of paralytic shellfish poison, and the attacker was already dead 3 months ago. This isn't the first time this police department deals with a strange case, and Detective Jung knows exactly who to call. Meanwhile, famous reporter Jin He is appearing on the radio to present her new book about the paranormal cases that she's covered on her independent news channel. During the interview, the host takes calls from the public, and the first one comes from a mysterious, creepy voice. This man claims to be behind the murder case the police are currently investigating, and he wants to be interviewed by Jin He herself the next day at an address he sends to her phone. After the show, Jin He goes back to the office, where all her employees are dealing with hundreds of calls asking about the creepy voice on the radio. Jin He also gets to meet Jesse, the new intern in charge of on-site shooting who has recently arrived in the country. Then, she meets with her partner Kim, who has already been pulling some favors to get information on the recent murder case. The victim had been a researcher at Seung-Gil Pharmaceutical, but there are no clues on the killer other than he's been dead for 3 months and his hoodie had an identification number. Kim has put his hands on a bunch of pictures as well, and Jin He gets to see the tattoo on the attacker's wrist, confirming it's the type used to cast a spell. They're suddenly interrupted by Jung, who has come to talk about the voice on the radio both as a cop and as Jin He's husband. He doesn't want her to do the interview because it's very dangerous, but Jin He doesn't care because this may be the only chance to catch the killer. Jung accepts that's true and lets her do the interview under the condition the police will be guarding her, which Jin He accepts. After Jung leaves, Kim shows Jin He a video he was sent from Japan where a young witch is conducting an exorcism in a haunted house. Jin He recognizes this girl as So Jin, who had been involved in some of the cases Jin He wrote about. Later, Jin He goes to a cafe where she remembers the case she investigated with So Jin and learned about the girl's powers. Suddenly, all the lights go out and Jin He is attacked by the hoodie killer. However, as soon as the attacker grabs her by the neck, he drops her and twists his body on the floor, revealing So Jin behind him wearing her witch clothes. At that moment, Jin He wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. The next day, Jin He and her crew get ready to stream the interview while the police watch through security cameras. The man that arrives is Mr. Park, who gives out his ID number to confirm he's saying a real name. The police check he has no criminal record, but he had been reported as missing. Park explains he's a spellcaster that can manipulate dead bodies, and he was the one that sent that zombie to commit murder 2 days ago. He's asked for this interview because he wants to warn everyone that he'll kill 3 more people soon, and the names he mentions as his future victims are all the higher-ups from Seung-Gil Pharmaceutical. If they want to stop Park from killing more people on the dates he proceeds to list, then the company's chairman must come to Jin He's show to offer an apology, which Jin He will have to make sure is sincere. Then, Park takes out a knife to bring Jin He as hostage on his way out. Jesse follows them with the camera to keep the stream going, and the cops rush to surround them. Park and Jin He enter the elevator and Jung manages to jump inside too before the doors close, but all the other agents will have to take the stairs. Jung and Park begin fighting, but Park shows extraordinary force and easily overpowers Jung. In the struggle, Jung's gun falls, so Jin He grabs it and shoots Park in the leg, but it doesn't bother Park at all. When they make it to the ground floor, Park uses the knife again to drag Jin He out with him to protect himself from the cops that are now surrounding them. Suddenly, Jin He notices the weird tattoo appearing on Park's wrist and realizes he isn't actually the killer. The real murderer has been using it to pass on his message. Park is just another zombie that crumbles to dust on the ground. Sometime later, the board members of Seung-Gil Pharmaceutical review the interview to decide what to do. 2 of the future victims are there, Director Min Sub and CEO Lee. However, Chairman Byun Sung is at his villa recuperating from his blood sugar problems, so his daughter Mi Young is speaking for him. Min Sub is panicking because he was the first one on the list, but Mi Young refuses to call her father to avoid making his health worse. An argument ensues that is interrupted by Lee, who finally speaks up by saying they need to let the cops do their job and that company will assign plenty of bodyguards to Min Sub to keep him safe. After the meeting is over, Jung and his partner Kang ask Lee and Mi Young some questions. Mi Young explains that Park used to be the leader of the new R&D team, but he suddenly disappeared without doing the project handover. Kang points out that when Park's family reported him missing, they said he never came back from work, but Mi Young can't help them there. Park used to work at an old company building that is now abandoned, so they don't have any records of his last day on the job. Jung asks Lee what Byun Sung should be apologizing about, but Mi Young doesn't let Lee answer that and just asks the police to do their jobs. Meanwhile, Jin Hee and Detective Yu talk to Professor Tak, an expert on the study of the paranormal. He's researched the tattoo and confirms it's the one used to make zombies. He also points out that only one country uses this kind of design: Indonesia. They have witch doctors known as shamans who have many ways to manipulate boats, the main one being on the ground where the body died. They mix the ground's mud with the shaman's blood and hair or nails from the bodies to make sculptures that are put on the incantation design, which explains why all the criminals so far have crumbled like clay. Later in the evening, Jin Hee gets a call from Kim. He has finally found out the identity of the first attacker, who had been reported missing by his family 5 years ago. It seems this guy came to the country with a fake passport, so Kim will be interviewing the guy behind the passport tomorrow. The next day at the local prison, Kim visits Huang, the man that provided the fake passport, and Huang accepts to share some information in exchange for cigarettes and a reduced sentence. It turns out Huang also used to work for Seungdeal Pharmaceutical, and 6 months ago, the company started secretly recruiting people for clinical trials. This job pays well, and all the recruits wore gray hoodies with a number on them. The research had orders to only recruit bums with no relatives, but there weren't enough homeless people that met the requirements, so Huang began using illegal immigrants. All those people who were around 100 died in a few months. In the meantime, the Seungdeal Pharmaceutical headquarters are surrounded by bodyguards and the police to protect Min Sub. This also means lots of reporters are accumulating outside, including Jin Hee and her crew. Soon, a person wearing one of those hoodies approaches the building and the police try to stop them, but it's incredibly easy for the zombie to use their strength to easily beat them all up. Once that's taken care of, the zombie is joined by a whole group of walking bodies. The zombie horde is too big and strong to be stopped by normal men, and they easily break through the guards' line of defense to get inside. Ignoring the bullets shot at them, they begin climbing the stairs, so Jung decides to escort Lee and Min Sub out of the building before the zombies reach them. The group makes it to the elevator that will take them to the underground parking lot, and when the zombies notice this, they jump off the stairs to reach the ground floor faster since they can just stand up and put their bones back in place. Seeing the zombies go down, Jin Hee and her cameraman get in their van and go to the parking lot too, where they run over a couple of the creatures. This gives Jung's group the chance to get in a car and escape, yet it isn't enough. The zombies just approach the cabs at the nearby avenue and kick the drivers off to take control and go after Jung, starting a chase through the city. Jin Hee follows them as well so they can keep recording the whole thing for their stream. After lots of twists and turns, the cabs manage to surround Jung's car and the zombies jump on it to try to attack the passengers. Jung's car eventually comes to a stop outside a tunnel and the zombies waste no time in dragging Min Sub out to kill him. Lee is spared for now, but in the struggle, Jung was scratched and he's now infected. Once the hunt is done, all the zombies crumble into dust. Jung is taken to the hospital and put into quarantine, so Jin Hee can only watch him from afar. In the evening, a terrified Lee visits Byun-sung to ask him to apologize so this massacre can be over. However, Byun-sung doesn't regret doing what he considers necessary experiments and decides he'll talk to his daughter first before rushing into an apology because she's the future of the company. Giving up, Lee leaves, bumping into Mi-young on his way out. Lee takes the chance to point out that Mi-young had been the head of that awful trial that she pushed for to get more money after decades of the company only making medicine to help people, which has always been his and Byun-sung's dream. However, Mi-young says that's how cowards talk and that there's no room for dreams in her company. At the office, Jin Hee, Kim, and the detectives call Tak to discuss what happened. He saw the stream and noticed that the zombies couldn't move if they lost their hands, meaning the tattoo is their weakness. The doctors have said they can't find a cure for Jung, but Tak assures them it's not poison. He's being affected by the curse too. To save him, they'll have to stop the shaman. After Tak hangs up, Kim shares all the information he got from Huang, including the fact that a month after all the recruits died, a strange Indonesian man came to see Huang. He said his family was working in the company, so Huang sent him to Sea Park to get him off his back. Huang also described this man's clothes as similar to a Taoist priest, which means he must be the shaman. The group's conversations interrupted by the arrival of Lee, who wants to confess what happened on camera. The project had been an idea from their American investors. The plan was to develop a special poison to use in chemical weapons. He admits the company abused the poor and the homeless, so he's brought a bunch of related documents for the detectives, including a list of the recruits. Before leaving, Lee tells everyone that the chances of Byun-sung apologizing are tiny. Kim realizes the files by themselves are useless because they may have fake names, so they'll need to compare the information with the police's official database to find the shaman's family. At the same time, Jin Hee remembers Tak's explanation of the ritual to summon zombies. If the ground where they died is needed, then the shaman must be at the company's abandoned lab building. The team splits in two then. Kim and Kang will go check the names while Jin Hee and Yu will go to the labs, unaware that a stranger on a bike is following them. Inside the abandoned building, Jin Hee and Yu find a room painted with creepy magic symbols and decide Tak can research them later, not noticing that the paint is moving. When they hear a noise, they go upstairs to check it out and are suddenly attacked by a zombie. Fortunately, Yu reacts quickly and shoots the creature until it loses its hand, but he wastes all his bullets in the process. There's a horde coming next though, so Jin, he and you run away through a tunnel until they make it into a room that they lock by putting furniture in front of the door. However, there's a zombie there too and it grabs Jin he by the neck to kill her, only to be stopped by the stranger from the bike. It turns out this is So Jin, who has finally returned to the country. She uses her powers to destroy the zombie, then she drags Jin, he and you into another room because the horde has managed to break through the flimsy furniture barrier. In this room, So Jin draws a spell on the floor to create an invisibility shield where she and Jin he hide, but he doesn't make it in time and has to hide behind some furniture. The zombies break in and go after you, so Jin comes out after Jin. He tells her the weakness is the tattoo. By using her powers on that tattoo, it's extremely easy for So Jin to fight the zombies and destroy them one by one. Now that it's truly over, So Jin and Jin he reunite with a hug. It's morning by the time they leave the building and So Jin shares what she's been doing all this time. She stayed in Japan for a while before moving to China, where a priest at a temple taught her how to control her powers. The So Jin that Jin he saw in her nightmare had truly been her, and after having this vision, So Jin decided to come back to protect Jin he. Their conversation is interrupted by Yu, who tells them he's learned Lee has ended things for himself, which has caused Byun Sung to accept to do the apology. Jin he rushes back to the city, but So Jin decides to stay with you because she's sure her powers will be of help. The interview will be done at the Seungil Pharmaceuticals building, although Jin he still brings her team with her. After Jesse fixes the podium, Byun Sung comes in and apologizes to the general population for the recent incidents, promising to be a more responsible company from now on. However, the shaman wanted an apology for the trial victims and their families, not for the population, and Jin he reminds Byun Sung of this. The chairman isn't sure about that, but Mi-young tells him to do it to get this over with. Byun Sung sounds like a robot when he speaks because he doesn't actually mean the apology, and Jin he refuses to upload such a poor attitude, which starts an argument with Mi-young. Back at the abandoned lab, Tak, So Jin, and the cops investigate the spell room, which So Jin recognizes as the same invisibility spell she used. By quickly deleting the word written on the ground, So Jin makes the illusion disappear and reveals that the room is actually a long hallway. The group crosses it until they make it to a morgue where the ground has lots of spell symbols and the clay figurines Tak had described. When they open a door at the back, a powerful light throws them back and reveals another room where they finally find the shaman. His defenses hold the entire team to the ground except for So Jin, who tries to push through while destroying the zombies the shaman throws at her. Meanwhile, Kim and Kang finally make some progress, discovering one of the trial recruits had been Jesse. Kim sends a picture of the file to Jin he to warn her, and Jin he finally understands that she had been chosen to record this in order to give Jesse access to Byun Sung. The apology is still not sounding sincere, so Jessie finally reveals her tattoo and begins fighting the guards while Mi-young takes her father away to safety. Jessie runs after them, knocking out anyone that gets between her and the chairman's office and even jumping through windows as a shortcut. After beating a few more guards, Jessie enters the main office and approaches Byun Sung to kill him. However, at that moment, So Jin finally manages to reach the shaman and uses her powers to kill him, which automatically kills Jessie as well. As the shaman dies, he looks at the last figurine, which is Jessie's hair. Thus So Jin hands it to him so he can leave this world together with his last relative. Back at the company, Mi-young takes advantage of all the bodyguards being unconscious to enter the office and, with the help of some tissue, grab one of Jessie's fingers. Then she uses it on her father to infect him as she explains it's time for him to go and let the new generation take over. As he dies, Byun Sung sees a bottle in Mi-young's hand and realizes Lee's death had actually been a murder. A moment later, the cops finally reach the office where Mi-young is crying her heart out, but Jin he also arrives and tells her to stop pretending because they know everything. When Jessie fixed the podium, he put a microphone on Byun Sung's jacket for better transmission sound, so now they have a recording of everything she said while her father died. After the cops arrest Mi-young, Jin he and So Jin meet at the hospital to visit Young, who is finally recovering thanks to the shaman's death. So Jin feels bad for the shaman because before he died, she had seen his memories of playing with Jessie as a child and felt how much he loved her. 3 months later, Mi-young has been released on the grounds of insufficient evidence. However, one afternoon, Jin he and So Jin approach her in the parking lot to make her confess if she doesn't want to get horrible magical consequences. Meanwhile, an employee at a small local company is being paid pennies for his work. After his shift is over, he decides to drink for a while, and his drunk wandering around town makes him find a mysterious man drawing a spell on the ground. Desperate for a better life, the man asks the stranger for his help. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.